Chapter 2. Historical background of corruption. Corruption has existed as long as human societies have been organized into structured political systems. The roots of corruption can be traced back to the earliest forms of governance, and it has manifested in various forms throughout history, from the ancient empires to modern states. Corruption has influenced political systems, economies, and societies across the world. Historical roots of corruption. The origins of corruption can be found in the very fabric of early political systems. In the ancient world, rulers and politicians wielded significant power, often without checks or balances. This lack of accountability created fertile ground for corruption. In ancient Egypt, for instance, officials were known to abuse their power to amass wealth, engage in nepotism, and misuse state resources for personal gain. Similarly, in ancient Rome, bribery and embezzlement were prevalent among politicians and military leaders, undermining the trust in public institutions. As societies evolved, so did the forms of corruption. Feudal systems in Europe, where power was concentrated in the hands of a few nobles, often led to the exploitation of peasants and the diversion of public funds for personal enrichment. The concept of divine right granted monarchs unchecked power, which was frequently misused for personal and familial benefit. Corruption in old political systems. In many pre-modern political systems, corruption was not viewed as a moral failing, but rather as a way of life. In ancient China, for instance, corruption was a common feature in the bureaucratic system. The imperial examination system, designed to select officials based on merit, was often undermined by bribery, nepotism, and favoritism. Corruption was institutionalized in a way that made it difficult to distinguish between personal interests and public duties. In medieval Europe, kings and lords frequently awarded lands and privileges to loyal supporters in exchange for personal favors or financial compensation. This system of patronage often led to corrupt practices, as power and wealth were concentrated in the hands of the few, while the majority of the population remained oppressed. Corruption across different societies. Corruption is not confined to one region or culture. It has been present in various forms across different societies and periods. In ancient India, during the Maurya Empire, there were detailed records of corruption within the administration. Officials and tax collectors often took bribes and abused their authority. Similarly, in Islamic civilizations during the caliphates, corruption was a known issue. While Islamic law emphasized justice and fairness, the concentration of power in the hands of a few often led to corruption. Within the ruling elite, the spread of corrupt practices. Colonial powers often imposed unfair systems of governance that enriched a select few.
If you want a book written on any other topic, I can write it for you. You can comment without any hesitation.